Hey everyone, and welcome to Variety Vista. Now, when you think of the United States Virgin Islands, what comes to mind? Beautiful beaches, crystal clear water, maybe a pina colada with a tiny umbrella? And you're not wrong, it's definitely all that. But behind that postcard-perfect scenery lies bizarre history, surprising laws, cultural quirks that will change how you see this Caribbean paradise. It's like finding out your quiet, sweet grandmother was a spy during the Cold War. You thought you knew her, but you have no idea. Get ready to have your mind blown. We're about to peel back the layers and uncover untold stories. Pirates' ghosts, a multi-million-dollar real estate deal between nations, why you should never, ever whistle after dark. This isn't just fun facts. It's a deep dive into something far more complex. Alright, let's start with the basics. The US in United States Virgin Islands. It seems obvious, right? Well, it wasn't through a war or a revolution, it was through a shopping trip. You see, for over 200 years, these islands were Danish. Then along comes World War I. We can't have Germany setting up a U-boat base right there. That would be bad. Very, very bad. So they went to Denmark with a big bag of money. Seriously. In 1917, the United States bought the islands for $25 million in gold coin. That's over $500 million in today's money. And just like that, the Danish West Indies became the United States Virgin Islands. It was the most expensive real estate deal for the United States per acre since the Louisiana Purchase. So, the United States buys the islands, brings in the dollar, the American flag, all the usual stuff. But they forgot one tiny detail. Or maybe they just gave up. In the United States Virgin Islands, they drive on the left side of the road. Imagine an American tourist, fresh off the plane, renting a car. The prevailing theory, original colonists rode horses on the left to keep their sword hand, their right hand, free. When cars arrived, they stuck with tradition. When people talk about the United States Virgin Islands, they usually mean the big three: St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix, and maybe Water Island, the fourth and newest main island. But here's the thing people miss. The United States Virgin Islands isn't just 4 islands, it's an archipelago of over 50 islands, cays, islets. Most of them are completely uninhabited, little specks of green in a sea of blue. Let's talk about one of my favorite subjects, loopholes. There is no sales tax. You walk into a store and see a price tag for $100, and you pay exactly $100. Every good Caribbean island needs a pirate story. We're talking about the man, the myth, the legend, the fiery beard himself, Blackbeard. That spot is now home to a historic watchtower known as Blackbeard's Castle. If you think you know what a party is, you haven't been to Carnival in the US Virgin Islands. It's not just a party, it's a month-long explosion of culture, color, and sound. Moko Jumbies, the traditional stilt walkers who tower over the crowds like graceful giants. Tucked away on a quiet street in St. Thomas is a building that tells a remarkable story of refuge, perseverance, tradition. It's the St. Thomas Synagogue, and it holds a special distinction. It is the oldest synagogue in continuous use under the American flag. The most poignant theory is that it symbolizes the journey of their ancestors. They would cover the floors with sand to muffle the sounds of their prayers. Imagine you're on the islands. You see a side dish called fungi. Instead, you see a sort of dense, polenta-like cake made from cornmeal. Congratulations, you've just been introduced to one of the most essential and beloved dishes in Virgin Islands cuisine. It's almost always served with fish, especially boiled fish and fried fish, creating the classic dish fish and fungi. The US Virgin Islands is one of those places where you can't just put one label on the culture. You have West African roots, Danish architecture, American influence, and flavors from all over the Caribbean. It's a living, breathing culture that is constantly evolving, a testament to the resilience and creativity of a people shaped by a truly global history. Here's a great piece of trivia for your next pub quiz. Which US territory competes in the Olympics as its own nation? The answer: the US Virgin Islands. Their proudest moment came in 1988 in Seoul, when sailor Peter Holmberg won a silver medal in the Finn class. It's impossible to understand the US Virgin Islands without confronting its darkest chapter, its central role in the transatlantic slave trade. Under Danish rule, the islands became a powerhouse of sugar production. that white gold was produced through the brutal forced labor of enslaved Africans. The 1733 revolt on St. John, one of the earliest, longest-lasting slave revolts in the Americas. Every culture has its superstitions. In the US Virgin Islands, one of the most well-known is this: you do not whistle at night, ever. Specifically, you're calling the spirits jumbies, as they're known in local folklore. So, if you're visiting, just hum. Or better yet, just enjoy the natural sounds of the Caribbean night. While tourism is king today, the islands have another much older industry that flows through their veins: rum. This tradition is alive and well, most famously at the Cruise and Rum Distillery on St. Croix. It's been operating since 1760. Rum is more than just a drink here, it's a part of the culture. And under the water, the US Virgin Islands are simply spectacular. The crown jewel is Trunk Bay on St. John. It even has an underwater snorkeling trail. The entire island and its surrounding coral reef system at Buck Island are a protected US national monument, a kaleidoscope of life. And remember Transfer Day, March 31st, the day the islands were officially transferred from Danish to American rule in 1917. And there you have it. 15 things that prove the US Virgin Islands are so much more than just a pretty face. If you enjoyed this journey into the weird and wonderful, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, drop a comment below telling me which fact blew your mind, share this with a friend, and subscribe to Variety Vista. Ring the bell to keep exploring with us.